Hello, everyone. Hope they can hear me. Please type in the chat if you can hear me. I would like to welcome you to this webinar on how to build regression tests using process mining. We'll just wait a minute before everybody joins. In the meantime, please paste in the chat, if you can hear me well. Yes, excellent. Welcome. Hello, hello. Perfect. Good to see you guys. If you could also maybe share where are you guys from, that would be also fantastic. UK, great. Okay, so yes, today's webinar will be about how to use process mining and machine learning. Oh, Brazil. Okay, nice to see you. Yes, so today we'll be talking about how to build regression test plans using process mining, right? Machine learning algorithm. Okay. Okay, guys. So let's then start. So once again, I would like to welcome you to this short webinar. And today's topic, interesting, yes, thank you. Today's topic is how to build regression test plans using process mining, right? So, like new technologies, machine learning algorithms, okay? So this is the agenda for today's webinar. So first of all, we'll just talk briefly about pains of building and maintaining test plans in Dynamics. And then, I will just make a short introduction to process mining. I'm not sure how many of you had any contact before with process mining. So we'll just talk briefly, the benefits of process mining, and then I will just show you the tool. Oh, hello. So guys, I have a first question, if I may ask before we start. Can you tell me how many of you are testers or test managers or people who have experience with testing? You could just type in the comment, okay, yes or no. That would be fantastic. I would like, I would know, yes, how much in details I should go to. And also another question, you could also put, I will just continue, but if you could also share in the chat, if you had some contact before with process mining and machine learning algorithm. Yes, excellent. Yes, I can see yes. That's good to hear. Hands on to yes, perfect. So if you have an experience with machine learning, because I don't want to sort of talk some fundamentals if you're all experienced with the machine learning. But today, of course, I will also show you the tool, our Executive Explorer, and how this tool can, so the third point on the agenda, how you could use Executive Explorer to your benefit when doing test plans maintenance. Okay. And of course, at the end, we'll have a quick Q&A. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Okay, so let's move on. So yes, as promised, we'll start from issues with building and maintaining test plans, right? So that's probably also obvious for everyone who do testing, that that can be different sources of information when you build test plans, right? And there can be like a product documentation or implement process documentation. There can be any old test cases if there were any before. And if there is little documentation or no documentation of test cases, you can also perform process analysis, right? So to business users and sort of try to discover processes, right? And analyze on your own, try to sort of document them and build test cases and scripts for those processes, right? But obviously, this is a ideal situation, and very often, as you know, documentation is either not complete or outdated, right? Especially when we have constant update one version. So it's obviously very hard to keep every all documentation updated. Uh, but there is also another thing, and you can see here on the screen, this is actually data from our own experience, from our clients. As you may know, uh, we we are um, authors and uh, leaders of the tool called Executive Automats, which is actually test automation suite for Dynamics. So this is, you see, the top 3 clients who are using the our test automation tool, and see the leader has 1,000 scripts, and 300 of them are in use frequently. And as you follow, you see the leading top 3 organizations. So as you all know, this is kind of time consuming and exhaustive exercise, right, to keep all this documentation updated, right? So from one hand, you have to you have a building, which is obviously a challenge when you don't have the up-to-date documentation. Processes are not well documented. Then you have a lot of maintenance to keep these scripts updated. um, but there is actually even more, right? um, you may know this picture. I'm not sure if you saw it. This is something that people very often relate to when they talk about user experience. And obviously, this is especially important with complex enterprise systems like Dynamics ERP system, right? The 365 or any other version, that user can perform tasks in a very different way, right? So yeah, you can enter from many different menus, and then you can obviously open them on different tabs, right? So there are so many different ways how people can, so to speak, hack the system, right? So this is very difficult to to have all the scenarios and all these sort of usage scenarios broken down into specific cases, because yes, we never know what people can do. I'm always amazed how people can sort of find different ways to perform task with the system. As you can see here, this is an example. Once again, example. This is already sort of heads up into what we are going to see on the demo part of the webinar. This is actually an extract from from our tool Executive Explorer, where you can see the comparison. This is the same process performed by 2 different companies in a different, in one group, right? So you see there's a completely different, you may not see, the small numbers, but what I'm trying to say is that different users perform the same tasks, the same processes in a, completely different, with different efficiency. That's different, that's normal, but you see entire process in the company has a completely different efficiency, right? Which is puzzling, right? Either people know do the task differently, maybe obviously can be some interruptions, etc. Can be different things, right? But still it's hard to manage quality of the system when it's so complex. So how can process mining help with that, right? And before we start, let me first say what process mining is. And so process mining is obviously applying machine learning algorithm, right? So complicated uh, analysis. And this is Executive Explorer. So the tool that I'm going to show you today is exactly process mining and task mining software that applies those algorithms to discover processes, automatically discover processes, right? But what I'm going to show you as well is how you can uh, find and filter out those processes that are most commonly used, right? So once again, you have thousand scripts. There are obviously those things that are critical, right, for reliability of your system. So we need to actually be able to see in real life, what's actually being used, and Executive Explorer allows you to do that. Once again, there are other things that compare different processes and combine them, so to make the analysis. So you can have actually very thorough information about usage of the system, right? So really insight into how people use the system. And this is maybe also interesting for you from the technical side, that that oh yes, I can see some people first time with a machine learning. Okay, so yes, if you see complicated algorithm, it's not always AI. People love to say AI. Obviously, there is sometimes little AI in AI. We would say that we have this complicated multi-layer machine learning algorithm that obviously are built is specifically for Dynamics, for Microsoft ecosystem. So this is why they are so reliable in discovering processes and analyzing them. Um, and but what's more, we can also, and I will show you this on the real example, um, uh, export these identified processes as a script to executive automats, our second tool. So they together create, like an executive suite, executive platform. So you can, sort of make a shortcut and create test automation by using automated detection also of the processes, right? So make a sort of the work that is already sort of hard enough simplified a bit. Okay, so yeah, so have a look. This is I will just obviously go to the system as I promised in the second, but this is how we our so-called magic table, right? When we have all these processes, you see areas, and there are different columns where we can group and filter out processes. And I will not go into details in the right now. I will show you in the real tool. Um, then obviously, as I promised, right, most commonly used process patterns, right? So you see this is actually a real case that this specific process was actually it's actually more than 10 patterns, right? The different variants. You can see there are actually different, more than 10, right? So this is how people perform the same processes in a different way. Yep, and as I mentioned, I'll show you in a second that Explorer and automats work together. With just one click, you can export those to executive automats and edit later, in the automats, but you at least have certain, like a provision, certain information instead of building the script from scratch, right? Um, okay, so just wanted to let you know that um, if you are interested in trial of Executive Explorer, it's available, and so it's actually pasted in the chat. So if you would like to um, discover a little bit more and talk to us and show you your cases and how we could shorten your processes, so the process discovery and sort of test plan maintenance, let us know. We'll be happy to discuss with you details. But right now, I'm going to show you, the demo, right? I will just click through the application and we'll see, which processes are used, how they're executed, and how we can export those processes into executive automats. Okay, so let me then go to the system. Okay, so here you can see the interface of the application, and obviously, there are much more. This is a process mining tool, so you can make a lot of analysis. But today's subject, it's not really like a process mining, and but like how to build and maintain test plans. So you can see here what Executive Explorer discovered. A number of processes. I would like for you to pay attention, to a couple of columns. There is many more, and you can always sort of customize your grid to see what we would like to see. But we can see there are a number of executions. So this specific process executed so many times. Let's pick oh, I'm sorry, I was logged out. Just give me Not sure why. Sorry for that. So yes, so we have this processes. Let's pick some area. You can see number of processes, so number of executions, and average time spent, have number of executions, number of steps, so how many steps, on average this process has, and average time spent, right? So during this process, right? So altogether it gives you a number. Once again, for the time being, it is not, it's called cost because obviously it represents certain cost to organization. If you do process mining, you can add certain monetary value to those costs, and it will tend to be turned into from this, from the symbolic number into hours, right? You can provide rate cards, but once again, this is not the subject. But I'm saying this because you see what are the most frequently used process, and if we go deeper into this, you can see here is the process. Actually, we can you see play a little bit with the graph. This is actually a pretty easy process because it's actually performed only, it only, in two different ways. You see, in here we have this second variant, and if we pick this variant, we can even go further into details and see um, all the executions of the specific person, right? So let's deep dive and see uh, what this person did. Okay, so you see, click new vendor account, click OK, click delete, right? And obviously you can actually have even more details. So you have all the properties, entire business context of the, so so exactly, yeah, what is the environment, yeah, so all this necessary details. Okay. Obviously, as I mentioned, there is much more. You can create a reference process out of it, right? So we're just developing this further to provide more sophisticated analytical um, capability. But for the time being, let's do a simple thing like generating a template. Okay, and you can see it has been exported as a script. And let me just right now um, do one more thing. I will just go to our another tool, which is executive automats, and I'm not sure why I cannot share. Just 1 second. Okay. Yes. So right now you can see executive automats and what can be done. Yeah, this is obviously all the scripts that we have, and let's say import, right? And what we do is go to downloads. I have just downloaded. You see the script a while ago. We select the project we want to um, import to. So I will not populate the plants that are in here, but let's take it to the empty project. Here you go, right? And we have this populated, right? So we can then go further down and edit the script and make some changes. But you have it already in here, right? And obviously organize it into the projects. Uh, um, Okay, so you can see it's cut the cost and cut the manual work required to build these scripts. Uh, I think pretty significantly, right? Um, yeah. So I think, guys, this is what I wanted to show you. Let me just come back to the presentation. Um, and right now, if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer. Maybe let me also explain that um, this algorithm, the beauty of having machine learning algorithm is that it is implemented into the production, and it just gathers the data constantly, and it's obviously the calculation can be done, it can be sort of customized, right? So it can be recalculating the data every single day, or maybe less frequently or even more frequently. but it provides you it provides you um, um, like a constantly fresh data and fresh view of all the processes, right? So um, yes, you always have like a single source of truth of everything that it happens in the dynamics. Okay, we have a question. Question is, where is the data stored? Okay, so well, it all depends. Obviously, we have both on a SaaS version and on-prem version. So if yes, it can we just create Azure environment for those for data to be stored, and it's simply your environment. We don't keep data in our on our infrastructure. And what I can also say is that, as you can imagine, it can be pretty significant amount of data. So we have also a sophisticated way of how to compress the data, that we build over time, in our R&D. So it doesn't take a lot of place, right? And we tested it is even, in retail industries, right? Where obviously, which is a lot of big volume of operation, as you can understand, right? So one thing is obviously having your Azure environment to keep it, right? So your data is in your cloud, and secondly, properly manage and so it doesn't simply you don't have to have your own data center to keep it, right? Okay, guys, many more questions. Once again, if you would like to test it and see how it works, for and see if this could help you, you're building your test plan and maintaining your test plans, would be happy to discuss with you and see what your challenges are. Um, yes, yes. Um, so let's I can see the comment. Yes, they're really nice to try. So let's get in touch and let's have a trial using this dress at the moment. Okay. Okay, guys. Any further questions? The demo was very short, of course, but we don't want to, as you can see, the tool this is really a process mining tool, so it can do much more than just discover processes for testing. Mm. Okay, so guys, in this case, let's adjourn here. It was nice to hear you, and nice to be able to show you some of our latest developments. Um, yeah, we'll be communicating afterwards and with the recording. So thank you very much for your attention, and from Brazil, for UK. Um, oh, okay, we have a lot of customization. Regression testing is biggest pain. Okay, so okay, here, there is a. Let me just display the comment. So we have a lot of customizations. Okay, so yes, so that's exactly the point. You see, yeah, it's when you have a lot of customizations and document, yeah, it's constant changes. This is where process mining can be super helpful, right? Because it constantly, sort of gather the data and show you the um, um, what is the reality of how people use maybe use your system. I think one last thing to comment. I haven't talked about it during the presentation, but unlike typical process mining tools and even market leaders who use log mining, um, so they use user logs. We actually have a different technology, which by the way, was co-developed, with Executive Automate, so our test automation tool, and which makes this more efficient in discovering tasks. So we read it from the interface rather than just from the logs. So not only it is dedicated, to Dynamics, finance and operations, and but also allows you to be more efficient. Yeah. So Anyway, guys, so if there is no further questions, once again, thank you very much, and hope to see you soon then.